Hey guys, FootLongMuscle here, and I got a little, special video for you guys. Well, special selection of videos. In the final part of the Quake 4 Let's Play, I said that I was going to take a break from shooters. So I thought, you know what, why don't I install... What? Why don't I install possibly my most favourite game of all time, Rome Total War again? So I looked through a bunch of old boxes and I found it. I actually found it. I thought that I sold it, but I didn't. And I'm so happy that I got it working. And also, while I'm on the point of just announcing stuff, this is going to be uploaded on... Oh god, what is the date? On Thursday the 4th of October 2012, it is going to be uploaded. I am going on a holiday to see my brother in Thailand on the 11th. So I'm going to upload a Rome Total War video every day until then. And then for about a week and a half, there'll be no videos. So this is just like a little build up to that. So I apologize if, you know, you'll go a week without me. Some of you may even be happy that you're going a week without me, but who knows? Well, some people say that, you know, stuff, but anyway, enough rambling. I am going to play Rome Total War. I'm going to be doing Imperial campaign, and I bet you're wondering, hey Brune, why have you got factions that you can't play as in this game? That is because I have modified my game. There's no mods installed. I just changed the one of the scripts in the game files to unlock every faction apart from the SPQR and the rebels. So I could be any faction. However, there is one downside to doing that, and it is, like, for example, look, you see the House of Julii, ooh, nice pretty map. Egypt, description, has a position on Egypt there. But let's say, for example, we decide to go, I don't know, Macedon. It comes up with a little description, because I think this description was inserted because I think when the game was meant to be released originally, you were allowed to be Macedon, but there's no map point. Like, for example, go Greece is a different map. Also, if I go on, let's say, Pontus, I believe that was also in the game, meant to be originally in the game as well. But let's say, for example, I decide to go Scythia. No description, Imperial campaign. It doesn't say that. It just says Kingdom of it just, like, for example, House of Julii. It comes up there. If I go Scythia, Imperial campaign. That is, I think they decided you're not actually going to be them originally. But I think when the game was being made, they thought, let's have it so you can actually be Macedon and Pontus. So anyway, yeah. I'm going to choose a faction. I don't know who I could be, really. I've literally just started recording and I've not bothered choosing. Quite tempting to be the Britons. However, they have crap chariots that are only really shock troops, aren't they? Ooh. I'm gonna do a Carthage. Ah, see, now this is a difficult point because I never thought this through. Let's be Briton. Medium. No battle time limit, because I like to take my time in battles. I don't like to get rushed. And I will not follow the AI characters because that's quite difficult. Say, for example, you're holding a town with only 30 men, and you're at war with a neighbouring faction, and you don't know if they're going to attack you until it's last second too late. I find that's more difficult than following them, so it will be a long campaign. Let's begin.
before my grandfather's grandfather was born, this was our land. These are good places. Our gods live here, in the trees and rivers. They watch over us. We are happy. We hunt. We love. We have families, homes, a good life. But sometimes we must fight. The Romans disturb the gods. They burn the forests. They take what is ours, wives, children, land. And the Romans talk of how they will help us and protect us. They put us to sleep with golden promises. When we wake, all we had is gone, stolen. They take our sons and turn them into little Romans. Ha! So we fight to keep what is ours. What must stay ours. There can be no peace. No peace with Romans, men of stone and iron and lies. There can be only war.
Okay, so I've chosen the Britons. Now, the Britons have a lot of advantages, but they also have a lot of disadvantages in this game. Oh, yeah, by the way, if you haven't played this game, why haven't you? Play it. It is possibly the best experience of warfare, old-time warfare ever. And it's not only just this game. They have, for example, they have like about 7 or 8 games out right now, and they're going to be making a sequel to this game, Rome Total War 2. Called Rome Total War 2. But they've not. This is probably the earliest of all the timelines they've done. The first one they did was the Japanese shogunate, which was about the 14th to 12th. Wait. Yeah, the 13th, 14th century AD. This is set in the BC era, and it's just, you know, during the time of the Romans. So as you can see, you know, it's all this stuff and all that. But they also done Empire Total War, and that is based during the time of the, I believe it's the 17th and 18th century. It might be 16th, earliest it goes to. But anyway, I'm getting off track. This is Rome Total War. You start off with your faction, the Britons. So currently, I control 4 towns. Each town is consisted of an area by the little blue line that you can see just there. And yeah, the conquest, well, not the conquest, the quest of the game, the main goal, is basically to conquer all. Now, unfortunately, this is possibly the downside to the majority of Total War games. There's a time limit. You start at 270 BC, but if, for example, yes, here, victory condition, Imperator, become the supreme ruler of Rome and control at least 50 provinces. A province, is a town, basically. And that area that I was talking about, that is a province. And I have 284 years remaining. Now, if I'm correct, I believe it's, I think it's like 2 to 3 turns a year, is a year. I'm not exactly sure about that, so don't quote me on that. It will say somewhere in like the game files on the actual program. But anyway, yes. This, let me get actually to the game. This is a diplomat. Diplomat can be used. Here's a scroll. You can see the character details as it says there. His name is Lanidut. He's a diplomat. He's 20 years old. And influence. Influence for a diplomat is how the chance of success the diplomat will have in giving certain offers. Like, for example, say I'm at war with Germany, which is called Germania, which is like over here in this section of the map, just like down there. If I'm at war with Germany and they have one settlement, one province left, like this area here, one province, I can choose to ask them to become, if I could say, what is it? Is it like you become your protectorate or something like that? Which basically means that they will be allied to me, but I will have to protect them whenever they're attacked, because they're in a weakened state. And if whenever I want to go to war, I can have them to come fight for me. Does that make sense? It's kind of like I own them, basically. because I'm the greater king, the greater empire, greater faction, greater whatever, kingdom, however you want to call it. So, but this guy can also be used to get map information. So, for example, if you look really closely there, you can see that little green red part. It's a central Gaul owned by Gaul, and that is this area just here. So, say for example, if I go here,
Yes, my lord.
and he'll start walking, but you can speed up by left clicking.
Out of move.
And he only has a certain range in which to move. But you can see the green and red area. This is a different faction. Central Gaul, and if I highlight here, it says owned by Gaul. I can zoom out on the map as well, so I can see the entire world, but just for now, I'll keep it zoomed in here so you can get a better view of the map. Yeah, this is settlement. Now, the first thing I like to do in settlements is, what else? Raise the taxes. The population growth goes down, as you can see. If I go set to low, it goes to plus 4%. So that means every turn I gain 4% extra population growth of whatever the population is at the moment. I think that's how it goes. And if I set it to very high, it goes down to plus 2.5. But the thing is, though, what I like about Rome games and just Total War in general is that every single settlement has a tax system. And that is very, very detailed. Because, let's put it back to normal. It was at normal in the first place. It says population required next level of settlement. So that's going back to population growth. So when that reaches, the population there reaches 2,000, it will grow, the settlement will grow. And it will make sure, it will make you, well, it won't make you, it will allow you to build a construction building that expands the settlement. Like, for example, in the Roman settlements, you can build governor's houses or governor's palaces or governor villas or something like that for your governor. A governor is basically a... And I'm getting a phone call. Hang on a second, guys. I think I need to answer this. Sorry about that, guys. I'm so popular. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes, this is settlement. I explained the population. Now, next comes the public order, which is here. Public order is basically the green face. Phone going off again. I'm going to ignore it. Yeah, public order is basically the green face. When it's green, it means the populace are happy. When it's yellow, it means that they're like average, like could be better, but it's still not bad. When it's blue, they're like, oh, it could be a lot better, and we're on the verge of going red. But when it's red, it means they're very upset and they are probably about to revolt. And you can actually have your cities can actually revolt against you. It depends on how well you treat them. You can treat them better by lowering the tax rate. See, it goes to 185, plus 185. But you can make it worse, but gain more money if you set it to very high, 105. If it goes below 100%, they go yellow. If it goes below 75, 80% or something like that, 75, 80%, it goes blue. And if it goes below 50%, it goes red. I think something like that. But at the moment, we're going to set it to very high. And yeah, so that's really it. Income is affected basically how much you will gain from this town in the next turn. And you can see overall what you get in the financial section of the overviews, which is down here, which is your faction's flag. And you can see I will be gaining I'm gaining 1,920 from farming, 0 from mining. I'm getting 336 from trade, 2,550 gold, which I think is called dinars or something like that, from taxes. I'm losing 1,000 for wages of generals and other people like spies is up here, and the diplomat, and also you have army upkeep, and that is basically
General,
just how much you have to pay the soldiers. But you can also get income from corruption, but you can also lose income from corruption. So it is saying that projected profits for the next turn, and this is the important part. That is how much I will be getting next turn so far. But I can change that, I believe, if I go to here. It says it's low, so it was 839 before. What is it now? 434, yeah. You can change it by, like, for example, affecting the tax. You can change it by getting rid of constructions. You can change it by getting rid of units. You can change it basically in several ways. But for the moment, as I said, I'm going to raise everything to very high. Because these settlements, the people love me. Now, the next thing I am going to do is go around the towns, my towns. Actually, I'm going to send my spy to here. Now, spies can basically spy on hostile, neutral, enemy, whatever, other provinces. They have a subterfuge, and the subterfuge is basically the chance. It's like the diplomat. The lower it is, the lower the chance, the higher the chance they'll get caught. The higher it is, the lower the chance they'll get caught. Spies can get caught in this game if you go into towns and settlements, and they can get killed in the process. They can also get caught but flee the scene. The best way to get a spy really good is to do lots, just spy on like everything that he comes across. Coming across armies, coming across generals, coming across diplomats, coming across other spies, coming across towns. Basically anything that you come across, that's the best way to get your subterfuge up. And if you highlight the two eyes, it will say subterfuge. Subterfuge is not a weapon found in this man's intellectual armory. That's basically saying he's shit. That's basically it. Also, every character, spies, diplomats, have traits. A trait basically can be positive or negative. This case, it's positive. It says, in this trait, courteous. This man shows every sign of maturing into a shrewd and competent diplomatic negotiator. So he gets +2 to influence, improves negotiation skills. So that influence is there. So if he didn't have that trait, he would have no influence at all and he'd be shit, basically. And it's the same with a spy, I imagine. He's a spy. This man has a taste for reading other people's correspondence. +2 to agent skill, +2 to line of sight. Increase the range at which enemies are spotted. So his line of... His circular ring, which is this part here, is increased. Because of fog of war, the darker bits are bits you can't see, and the lighter bits are bits you can see. So his field of view is basically enhanced. Because of this trait. And again, if he didn't have this trait, his subterfuge would be at none. So, let's get started on town building. Now, you have different options. You have land clearance. Now, what land clearance will do is it will improve farms and food production. And as I said earlier, if you check here, you get money from farming. So if I build that, I will get more money when it's built. But it takes, what was it, 2 turns? 2 turns to build. That's fine. For 600, I can wait that much, and it will overall increase the farming, the amount of money I get from farming. I can get roads, and it improves roads and trade. It is improved roads and trade. And what a road will do is it will place a road from the settlement to another settlement inside the province. Now, this is a positive and a negative. The positive side is that it increases trade, and it allows your troops, your armies, and your characters to travel further along the roads because they're roads and they're able to stay on them. That's if they stay on the road, though. The negative side is that hostile forces can do the same. They can get to your town, say for example if one was here, an enemy general was here. He could possibly, if he had, let's say, a forced march trait, which increases the distance the general's army can march, and all troops are in that general's army, he could probably get from there, in which if he didn't have the trait, and there was no road, he'd probably get from here to about here in 1 turn. If he didn't have the trait, and there was a road, he could probably get from here to about here. But if he did have the trait, and there was a road, he could get from about this area here to the town in one turn. And let's say, for example, I mean, I only have peasants in this town. That's not good. So let's say, for example, I wanted to get rid of them peasants and build 2 warband units. I would possibly, and I could, if I didn't have a road here, I could wait. He would have to travel 2 turns, or even 3 maybe, and I would still have. I will have some troops to defend. And let's say, for example, my general was over here. I could get him here in time to help defend as well. So roads are a positive and a negative. You also finally have shrines. Now shrines, there are 3 different shrines in the Britons. There are also but you can get like different types of shrines for different factions and all that. Each shrine has a different trait. The shrine to Brigantia increases happiness and increases public health. Now public health is important as well. Every factor about this game is important. The happiness increases the public order, and the public health decreases the chance of having plague inside your town, in which you will lose civilians, people. Your population will drop drastically if it's there for such a long amount of time. And if you have troops stationed here, you will lose troops there as well, and you will have to retrain them, which will cost money. So yeah, that is the Shrine of Brigantia. There's a description there. If you just leave it, if you want to read it, you can read it. The Shrine to Britannia, which is our nation, increases public order due to happiness again, which will increase public order. But they also increase trade, which makes it so I will be able to get more money and get more tax off of trade. And again, there's a description if you want more detail. And the Shrine to Andrasta increases public order due to happiness by 5. And that's it. And that's like, first you're thinking, oh, well, obviously you'll get better from the Shrine of Britannia and the Shrine to Brigantia because they have 2 boosts. But wait, if you build this, you are allowed to train Wold Warriors. And if I right-click on that, a Wold Warrior is basically quite a good troop. Not as good as possibly the Swordsman, which we will get later, but it's still a good, easy, cheap way to get powerful units early on. So basically, this is a troop screen. You can see the details. There will be 161 soldiers in this one unit. Where every time you buy a unit, you get that amount of troops. Its attack was 13. That's quite good, considering that a default light infantry unit for the Romans has about an 8 attack. That's very good for this early age. So 1 turn, then I can get these guys. That's a very good deal. But the downside is the armor. They have no armor. They only have a defense skill of 2, and they have a defense shield, which is there. That's a downside because of the swordsmen do have armor, I believe, and they have a better defense skill and a better shield. However, recruiting cost is 380, and if I check, that's cheaper than a standard warband unit, which is basically spearmen light infantry. And these Wold Warriors are heavy infantry. Now, each troop has abilities, like again the traits from discussing earlier. They can be positive and negative. In the Wold Warrior example, they have War Cry. Now, all barbarian troops, apart from all infantry barbarian troops, have War Cry, and War Cry improves attack. Now, in some cases, this can be overpowered, but in other cases, it's not. It depends really on who you're fighting. Let's say, for example, you have 1 unit of this, and you're fighting 3 units of, like, peasants or something. If you fight them just normally, you'll probably lose about maybe 50 men, and they'll probably lose all of them. This is just an example, you know, it's not exactly true. If you use the War Cry, they will lose much more men and lose their morale much quicker than they would if you didn't use it. Also, they are expert at hiding in woods, so it means if you place them in a wood area of the map, which is these areas here, thick woods, forests you cannot enter, but these woods you can, they will be able to hide and ambush the enemy if necessary. Let's say, for example, however, general units cannot hide. And some units can't hide at all in woods. Like, for example, elephants, I believe, can't hide. But anyway, let's say, for example, you want to set up an ambush. You could have your general in the middle, and you can have these troops along the sides in a corridor-style fashion. So the enemy will wander into the corridor, start attacking the general, then you can swoop your guys in from behind, take them from behind, demoralize them, and then you'll win the battle like that. And you'll win. That's basically it. Victory. These guys also have a combat bonus in woods or snow, so just for what it says, when they fight in woods, they're better at fighting. When they fight in snow, they're better at fighting. Because it is summer right now, as it says down there, there is no snow available on the map, not even in the most northern areas like up here. They may charge without orders. That's a negative because, let's say for example you want them to hold a position. Say for example you're defending a town and you want them to hold a position. And they attack, say, some heavy cavalry, and they win. But they also have some light infantry coming in from behind. And you're like, okay, they can hold this position, wait for the light infantry to attack, use their war cry, massacre them, and then we'll win. These units may chase after the cavalry that they just defeated. They might even charge before you order them to charge. Another positive is that they have good morale, so that means they are less likely to rout off the map and run away. Because, like, say for example, your general dies, which does decrease the morale of all troops on the battlefield drastically. They have good stamina, so they can run for longer, and they are fast moving, which is also a positive. So let's say for example that you want to chase down some heavy infantry. If you had, like, for example, warband, they would run at the same speed. But because you have these guys, which are fast-moving, and they have good stamina, they'll be able to catch them and massacre them. So yeah, that's really it. That's really the basics. I'll go into more stuff later, but really I just want to get on. Here's a description, basically, of the troop. I'll let you read that if you want. You can just pause the video. But anyway, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is build the Shrine to Adrastia. Andrastia, whatever you call it. I'm going to send my faction here into this town to defend it. And here, I am going to build a Shrine to Britannia. And I will build... what is the lowest public order? 65, 55... 40. Build a Shrine to Britannia in... Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll build a Shrine to Britannia in every other one because these towns are all... These two towns here are too small to be major cities. This is a semi-city here. It's a large town. It can easily turn to a city. This is a town. These are all going to be my trade because we're on an island, and it's very unlikely. It's very, very unlikely that we won't see the enemy coming if they do try to invade. That's the positive. That's the very good side about Britain and their starting position. They do start in a very tactically advantaged area. Yes, they do control Belgium, but they also control Britain. They do not control Ireland though. But Ireland is under control of the rebels, as you can see here, owned by rebels, Hibernia.
General,
I will start to send this man
march out of moves.
down
Yes,
to here.
march.
It'll take a few turns, but in the meantime, I believe we can just leave it at that. So let's end the turn. And every turn, the opposing teams that you saw on the top of the screen, they will basically have their own turn, and they will move, and because of the fog of war, as you can see, we are not able to see what is going on. You might have noticed some drop down menus just here. These are basically reports of what's happened from the last turn to this turn, just a recap. So for example, I have built all these shrines. That's good. Then it gives you an end of turn report, and I made a profit of 198. Now that is not good, if I'm honest. But that was probably because of the amount of buildings that we built. So I'm just going to double check that everything is on very high. Yes, it is. And now I'm going to build roads at all my settlements except this one. This one, I'm going to build land clearance. Because, as I said earlier, it's tactically better. These ones I could build the roads out, no problem. Because, as I said, I will be able to see whoever comes to attack. But this one's different because they can attack from Germania, sorry, over here. And Germania is basically Germany. Or they can attack from Gaul, down here, which is basically France. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue
At once.
sending out
At once.
my diplomat. And there we are. I have found the Gallic capital, which is France, Alesia. Now, Gaul is in a very bad situation because they have threats from 1, 2, Germania here, 3, 4. They are a threat to 4 nations surrounding them. 4 nations surround them. 3 of them are barbarian, and 1 of them is Roman. Now, whenever I play as the Gaul, I bring troops immediately down to this area. And I send troops around here, because Gaul controlled these 2 areas here. And basically, what happens is, every time the game starts, is each faction will always go for the nearest rebel settlements first. It's just how the way the AI is built. And the quickest way to succeed as the Gauls, in my opinion, is to send a small dispatch army with a general down here, take a little settlement here, so you can control a vast trade route all the way back to your capital and all along the land, instead of being cut off in the middle and having threat of Germany coming down and taking this area here. Take this land as quick as possible. There's also an area there you could take, but you could just leave that for Germany if it's not necessary. Just connect that connection point there is really important for trade. And what I would then do is I would then start building armies over here to defend my front line, because the Romans always go, especially the Julii, which are basically North Rome, attack here, which is a rebel settlement here, and then they expand this way, and they try and spread like wildfire. But anyway, I'm actually getting off track. Gonna continue down here. I'm not going to pack the boat yet. I want to bring this general into the fray. And I'm going to take these armies down because, let's see how this goes. Public order is still high. And I'm going to bring these 3 down here.
Unable to move.
Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these 2 armies, put them on the boat, send them across here, and this is going to be my main attack point. But we're not going to do that this turn because we're out of turns. At the moment, I'm going to send this spy across, just quickly, bring the boat back here, and I will send the spy over.